So, Namaste from India. I'm Bhola Saha, and I'm one of, you can say, I was very happy first when I got to know about this no natural disaster campaign. And I was very thrilled to know about it. And I got in touch with Kevin, and then one thing led to another. And finally, he gave me an opportunity to speak in this platform. I'm very happy for that. So I would like to start with with our campaign no natural disaster. So can we consider this as a campaign where the important stakeholders are our very own educated and knowledgeable colleagues, seniors, juniors, and DRR experts who use the term natural disaster? uh, Now, it's an irony is that this natural disaster term is used by people who are aware of the meaning of it, as well as people who are not aware of the meaning about it. So for those not aware of the meaning, they use it more out of a cultural or religious belief, as one of the speaker earlier already said, and maybe as they think that as a punishment of God for XYZ mistakes that they have done. But they use this term merely on the basis of expressing their feeling of helplessness towards an event that is occurring and is above the coping capacity. So but for the people those who are aware of the meaning, they use it more out of not my problem, not my fault, or I have no role in it attitude. Earlier this term was used to as have a positive shift in attitude towards disaster, but now what we see is it turns out for me it turns out to be pretty sorted out plan to keep ourselves away from the blame game and put it on a thing against which we can do nothing, and the chapter can be closed. So this is where my passion for the campaign arises. This is where I can be able to tell the educated, I am part of the team that can tell the educated and knowledgeable people that how using the term natural disaster or blaming it on nature is in some way or the other increasing the risk of the people who rely on us. So coming to the but how if you see that how it does this using of the term increase the risk, if you how does it come into action? So if you see the local community look upon us, the government, the experts, the practitioners during events when which is above their coping capacity, and if during those events we use the phrase like yes this has happened because natural disaster and this is all because of nature, when we set up that mindset and talk to the communities, it's like they themselves they put down their shoulders and like yes God has done this to us, or the nature has done this to us, and they put down their shoulders. And at the time when they should be making the resilient community resilient, actually they have put down the shoulder and have sort of given up. So and this results the local community not to able to understand the risk and its causes, or hold the person responsible, or the uh, uh, or to approach a person so as to say who can help them out. So now the question arises, what is the fault of the community that they are facing during an event with high disaster risks and which is also out of their coping capacity? They are living or residing in disaster prone areas. My question is, how is this area turned into a disaster prone area? If it was a disaster prone area from earlier, how did development of the community in those locations happen? Or if it is a disaster prone area now, uh, what has led to it? And if we give it, if everyone gives a thought to it, we will have only one answer: the built environment is the factor. So now the environment has been planned by architects and planners like us, constructed by engineers like us, sold and brought by marketing agents like us, maintained and managed by managers like us. So we see we and only we contribute to the built environment, creating new disasters or disaster risk. In regard to this, I would like to give you an example of the Salmora village of Majuli. That's in India. This is the world's largest riverine island, Majuli. There is a village called Salmora, where the alluvial soil that comes from the Brahmaputra river, that they collected and they made handmade potteries, and that has a very rich cultural importance for them. So now what happens, because of the Majuli island being having erosion, the government and the experts have said that there should be no digging of alluvial soil from the land, and the pottery has to stop, and they had created embankments because of that. But now what happened after this was constructed, the embankment, the people of that area, they were say, okay, now flood cannot affect us. So they were very they thought they were risk free, and they did not take proper precaution. But once that embankment broke down, and they were not prepared. So here we see how we have increased the risk of those people. The people there before used to understand the risk, and they used to understand the risk, and they used to take precaution accordingly. But because of this engineering advancement, they thought that now flood cannot come to them, and so they have been they have relaxed in their measures against this risk. So now when the pottery was banned, this had a huge impact on the community, because the culture or the source of income from that changed. They had to change their profession, and it's becoming very hard for them, for the people of Salmora village, to sustain on the cultural of hand-paid pottery. So in this example, if we look the contributors that are creating a disaster by built environment, I think the contributors can be lack of understanding of local realities, failing to understand what the locals, that the locals are more literate, failing to understand the cultural and social lens, failing to accept the fact that the solutions are there in the natural, local, and indigenous knowledges. We prepare research questions just to fulfill our project requirement, but not of that of the community. Using the community to get the credit of the groundwork, but not recognizing the community who helped us getting there. Uh, Not realizing the data that we collect has a lot of emotions of those people attached to it. So in that way, but I don't think all the negative points that I have said right now, I don't think we are really so bad. uh, but I think we would cite you another example of Amguri Para of Gwalpara district in Assam. In the year 2006, the Gwalpara was one of India's 250 most backward districts uh, in India, and its economy was based on agriculture. And every year, 90% of their agriculture used to be demolished because of flood. Now, as a researcher, reading all the materials that are given to us or we find in the internet, we would say that this is a flood prone area. They have 90% of agriculture, their 90 agriculture based income, and 90% is destroyed. We need to prove them flood proof solutions. But you will be amazed to know that these people do require flood, because they changed their approach. So what they did was they started growing black rice instead of the normal rice that is grown in Assam in that area. They started growing black rice. Now what happens, our general rice in Assam, they require of around of 4 feet of 4 feet of water for to be cultivated properly. But this black rice, which is one of the famous rices even during the in the Chinese history as well, now those requires high amount of water. So they have 8 feet of water is required from them, is 8 feet of water is required by them, by the black rice to cultivate. Now this flood that comes to Amguri Para area, the which was an area of concern for them, with changing their approach, they have used the flood to their benefit. And now what they used to cultivate 50 rupees of normal rice, that is sold at around 50 rupees per kilo. Now now they are able to sell the black rice of 500 rupees per kilo, where they are using the extra 4 feet of water rice in their community. And that the community has a complete different transition in their society, and is very resilient now at this point of time. So I would say that this built environment set by the locals of Amguri Para was based on points which I earlier mentioned, where we failed. And maybe we accept the fact that community are more risk literate, and then and then us, and learning from them will help us build environment which does not contribute to the creating of disasters, and but to the creation of resilience. With this, I would like to end for and every request everyone to listen to this SOS Mother Nature song by Will I Am that was released in 2007, which will be a perfect sync to the topic that we are discussing today, and how the answers lies with Mother Nature. Thank you.